morning. Welcome to wintry Winnipeg. Yep, it's still cold out there. But it's warmed up to minus 13. Yeah, that's actually warmed up. Well, at least we kind of saw the sunrise this morning. I gave it a quick glance when I thought it should be coming up there around 8:30, and sure enough, there it was. I haven't seen the whole thing, so I don't know if it was interesting or not. I'll stick it at the end of today's episode, all being well. Okay, our glue is dry, and it should be really strong. I haven't touched this thing since yesterday, so we'll recompose and sort of check it out. You know what? Maybe I should stick on the macro lens and we'll take a look and see how well did all that glue that I put on. Somebody made a comment about lots of glue or something like that. So let's just see how well that shrunk wrapped and this extra thin. It does shrink wrap out of sight sort of, because it basically all dissolves, or rather all evaporates, and so the glue itself is gone, and all that's left is the melding, which works really, really well. That connection should be actually quite strong. If I was to try and break that off there, I'd probably be breaking parts. The glue wouldn't let go. I got really exciting news yesterday. I'll fill you in on that later. Okay, let's just sort of recompose here and get going. It's a little later this morning. I don't think we're gonna get. Well, we might get done step 13, except for the painting part of it. I was just noticing here that this part here, where we're putting the tank on the H2, and we're dropping the tank down onto the H2, the tank is already painted, but this stuff is not. So I got to remember before I put the tank down, to paint this. And I'm wondering if it could be that when we page ahead, there's some other stuff that we could do. And that way I'm not having to set up with the airbrush twice, because I do think that this piece will probably look better if I airbrush it rather than try and paintbrush it. I'm kind of wondering now if maybe I bought enough paint. Because I had intended to do a lot of paint brushing, and which makes, in other words, the paint will go a long way. But if I'm going to be doing a lot of airbrushing, well, I'm going to be losing a lot. So we'll worry about that when the time comes. I'm sure we'll be able to replace this paint or find something close. In the Tamiya brand, about the paint, I think I've mentioned this before. This Mr. Color paint, I like it from its quality standpoint, but I don't like it from the fact that it seems to be harder to use and to clean up when you in the airbrush and stuff like that. The Tamiya is so easy to clean up, but then on the other hand, it is also easy to wash it off of whatever you paint it on. Mind you, I'm not going to be soaking my stuff in Windex anyway, but okay. Any other news here? I don't think so. We've talked about the weather. We've talked about the sunshine. I told you that there's going to be a big surprise. Well, at least it's a big surprise to me. Most of you don't care. In fact, some of you have sort of commented, like, when I mention this particular item, you don't like it. Okay. Hey, this is the way it is, Okay, let's recompose here. Let's get our macro lens on again and get in and have a nice close look. I could actually move in a little bit closer, but if I do, then we're not going to see the entire piece. Sometimes less is more. Got a bubble here. But that bubble is pretty hard right now. In fact, everything is hard here. I know it kind of looks like maybe it's wet and so on, but all of this melding that was going on, like the box that this part went down into, like the positioning box. It is pretty much completely dissolved and melded itself with the everything else. Yeah, that's what I like about this this extra thin. The glue itself has basically gone and just left the plastic. So, okay, I think we've beaten this to death. Okay. Now what can be safely glued in place and what can't? This part here, as we concluded yesterday, gets glued like this. And the thing of it is, this part that I'm just touching right now with my finger has to go into something. I do believe this entire piece actually hangs upside down. As near as I can tell it, that's what happens. So I think what we should do is wait and see what is it that this is going to go into. I think it might possibly be part of the overhead bulkhead ceiling part. Okay, let's just check and see what is it that this has got to go into and how does it go into it. Okay, I've had to page ahead here to step 17 to find out where this part actually goes, and it doesn't hang down from anything. It actually goes on top of something. Now let's be careful when I'm handling this so I don't break little fragile things like this wheel that's just hanging there, and this little thing here, whatever that is. Okay, but this goes like this. Yeah, it looks like I can set this down safely. And then somehow this part here, it's going to go, let's move this over here. It goes like that, and these two positioning pegs, I guess you call them, fit in those holes right there. So that's how this is going to go. Yeah. And so that would mean that this, I was kind of leery about gluing everything together here, but I can see that probably if I do, it should all fit. Now there's, oh yeah, there is a slot here for this to fit in. It's right here. Okay. Yeah, that should all go. There's enough spring in this, if you know what I mean, that if it doesn't perfectly align, I think we can probably sort of pry it in place, and once it's glued, it'll stay there. At least that's what I'm thinking. But look at the time. It's coffee time. Okay, 60 grams, 120 calories, roughly. Thank you, Arlene. Okay, let's not start worrying about step 17. We're a long ways from there. We are on 13, and if we're going to wait to put this tank in place until after this part is painted, then we don't want to accidentally get over exuberant here and glue it on, which is the sort of thing I kind of do sometimes. But I do think that we can probably safely glue this in place. Now we've already concluded that it does fit in here quite nicely, actually. I think once again I'm gonna hold this part up like this, and we'll let gravity be our friend here. This part just sort of naturally wants to almost fall exactly in place. Yeah, it looks like the pins are in the holes, if you might say. Oh no, this one here on this side, that's kind of hard to tell. Maybe what I could do is I could very carefully use my little vise to hold it straight up and down. If I'm really careful, yeah, I think I'll do that. Now I was going to set up my big clunky vise here somehow on the table, and then I remembered I got my shop clamps up here, at least 2 of them. Down in my workshop there's probably another 30 clamps very similar to this. Some of them are smaller, and some of them are longer. Now, we don't need to squeeze this tight. All we want to do is use it to hold this part level. So it doesn't have to be tight. Now that should work. Okay, and then we get this positioned in place. I'll recompose and move in nice and close. Okay, I know you can't see that peg going into the slot on the other side. You know, if I was to have the camera lower, you might be able to kind of see underneath it. But you're just going to have to trust me when I say that it's in place. I wouldn't lie to you. I might be mistaken sometimes, though. Okay, it looks good to me. And we're going to use our extra thin again and just try and let everything do its melding thing. You know, maybe I should have stuck the macro lens on. Oh, we're in pretty close here. Okay, go and wick yourself all the way around now. I think that'll be all right. Probably won't be seen anyway. Yeah, well, just make sure I got enough on there. I know it looks like I'm putting on a lot, and somebody's going to say, too much glue, too much glue. Well, this is the way I do it. Okay, I'm going to do the 3 legs, I guess you call them, on the other side. Pretty much the same way. Maybe I could put just a little bit more right here, just so that it has lots of glue to, to melt the plastic or dissolve the plastic. Well, pretty much the same thing, isn't it? Okay, what about this part here? Maybe what I'll do is I'll do that part. I'll do this connection after everything is solidified a bit here. I am sure that by now you're used to me saying things like, well, I'm going to do the other side off camera or something to that effect. And then I realize when I'm going to set up to do it, all I have to do is turn everything around, and then you can see it. Now I had thought that there was going to be 3 of these legs on this side too, but there isn't. There's just the 2. Okay, now once again that looks like a lot, but that's going to help to meld all that plastic. And I think we did pretty good here, didn't we? Yeah, that's going to make a real solid joint. Maybe I'll just put a little bit of pressure down here and try and shove this one peg down into the slot. Just very carefully here. Yeah, that should be okay. All right, let's well, I guess maybe we'll leave it overnight. In the meantime, I think there is something else we can do yet on step 12. Or I mean 13. Now I was wondering what this little part was for when we nipped it off. If you remember, I said this is the smallest piece in step 13. And if you notice the slot that has been cut into it is off center. It is more this way than this way. And if you notice on the diagram, it looks to me from the diagram that if we put this piece like this, that's basically the way it's supposed to go. And then what is supposed to happen is this part is supposed to mount over top of it. So I guess this is just a base for this. So let's try and get everything the right way. I think I picked it up right. Yeah, you can see this little flange up at the top here with the holes in it. Okay, so it goes like that. And then this part is going to fit on. Yeah, let's just recompose a little bit so I can use both hands on this. And we'll try and get it right the first time. Oh, however, you know what? I think now might be a good time to take a bit of a pause here. And I can tell you about my big surprise. Now, yesterday afternoon, probably around noon, I got the email from Anna at Bill's Cycle in Steinbach. And it's the email that I've been waiting for. And Anna said, your bike is in. Now, it's none of these. I'll show it to you in a minute. But, I didn't realize that email had come at noon yesterday already. I didn't see it till around 6 o'clock in the evening. So I wasn't able to show it to you in yesterday's episode. But anyway, oh, by the way, this one right here, that's the one I'd really like to have. However, look at the price. I don't think so. It might be a little too heavy for me as well. Anyway, I'll show you my bike. It actually looks a lot like this right here, only it's a different color. Anyway, I am so excited I can't even talk. Just let me bring up the pictures here of my bike. Okay, here we go. It's still in the crate. And that's probably where it's going to stay until most likely April when I'm able to go get it, all being well. Where's the arrows here? There we go. All right. Yeah, it's very, very plain. Very plain. Why did I choose a bike that looks like this? Okay, well, if you look at it here, you'll notice that the seat is actually quite low. Oh, this passenger seat on the back, that's going to have to come off. The whole idea is I want to be able to swing my leg over the seat. Let's see if I can find a better photo here. Okay, I guess this is about as good as we're gonna get here. Okay, yeah, if I can get this passenger seat off the back here, boy, that'd be sort of a painful thing to ride on, wouldn't it, if you're a passenger? Yeah, take that off, and maybe the passenger foot pegs here, they could come off. Now, the foot pegs aren't going to really be in the way, but why have them on there if I'm not carrying a passenger, right? Anyway, if this is off, I should be able to swing my leg over and get down into the seat, which what I'm starting to say here is the reason I chose this style of bike is because the seat is actually quite low to the ground. When I'm sitting on this, I should be able to sit on the seat and flat foot on with both feet at the same time. At least that's what I'm hoping. I've actually never sat on one of these yet, so I don't know. But here's what happened. Way back back in May, some of you will remember, I was talking about maybe getting a bike, and I went out to a place here in Winnipeg called Bikes and Beyond. And the guy there, he was so helpful, and he tried so hard to get me on a bike. Finally, we found a step through that I was able to sort of get on, but when I was sitting on the seat, I couldn't pedal it. And so I thought, well, yeah, I came back home and I'm thinking, there's something wrong here. So I went on Amazon and I looked at e-bikes, and I chose one that sort of looks like it could be modified a bit. And I concluded that if I took the crank off of one side and hung it 180 degrees around, in other words, both pedals hang down, well, I could use the pedals as foot pegs, which is what I was doing. As I mentioned in an earlier episode, I put on almost 2,000 kilometers on that bike last summer, and I had a great time. Well, about midsummer, I decided, you know what, maybe a little motorcycle would be nice. Well, there was an outfit here in Winnipeg that was selling scooters. They had 4 scooters, all exactly the same, and they were all on sale. At least that's what they said. So I went out and I bought one, and I put over 2,000 kilometers on that. But anyway, about halfway through the experience with that, I thought, this is kind of dangerous because it doesn't go very fast, and quite often if I would go on roads that were say 60 kilometers an hour, in order to go that fast, I had to push it to the limit. And as I mentioned, the little motor on that thing, it was just screaming to go that fast. And I just felt really uncomfortable with traffic on my tail, So I thought, I got to get something a little faster. So I started to think, well, what can I get that I could get onto? So I went on the internet and I found this style of bike, like the Honda Rebel. And also there was a smaller Yamaha that also had a low seat. I think it was a Yamaha. And anyway, then I found out that the Rebel, that this particular model could be got with an automatic transmission. Well, by this time I was sort of used to the twist and go of the scooter, and I thought, hey, why not? So I was thinking, well, this transmission's probably not too reliable. So I went on YouTube and did a lot of research, and it turns out it's been out for about 14 years, this transmission, and people love it. Or at least most people love it. And those that say they don't like it is because they like to shift themselves. Sort of like the way my neighbor is with his car. He's got a car with a standard transmission because he likes to shift. And there's, I can understand that. So anyway, I thought I don't need to shift anymore. I'm 77 years old. I've had enough of shifting. So why not just stay with the twist and go? So this was a little bit more expensive. But anyway, I checked around, and turns out that nothing was available here in Winnipeg, but Bill's Cycle out in Steinbach, which isn't very far from here, was actually getting one in. Well, it's in, and this is it. I am, you might say, pumped. It's very plain looking, isn't it? Yeah, it's very plain looking. They use the term for a bike like this, a naked bike. I hope it's okay to say naked on YouTube. Anyway, I just sort of thought I'd fill you in here, and it's actually manufactured in Japan. So that's kind of good, because I had heard that some of these bikes were being manufactured in Mexico, and my experience having been with Greyhound, the buses that were manufactured in Mexico, there was a lot of quirky things wrong with them. So I'm glad that this is actually a genuine Honda manufactured in Japan. So yeah, I'm happy about that. Oh, there used to be this serial number in here. I took it out just in case somebody was going to register it and own my bike. There's a lot of paranoid people on YouTube. They don't want their names or any even their pictures or anything. They think that now people are going to know who I am, but that's up to them. Anyway, okay, enough about my bike. I'm just so excited. I am so excited. Okay, I was just looking at this thing up close here a moment ago, And I'm wondering, is this looks like a molding seam that I should maybe scrape off, because it's going to kind of hold the part up a little bit, and I think I better just take this out of the clamp here, and I'm just going to scrape that off. Okay. It's not perfect, but it's better. Now this part here goes on in this orientation like that. I'm wondering what would be wrong with, like this one. Now this one here, it goes like this. What would be wrong with putting that on the bottom, of this part first, and then sticking everything on at once? Then there's less of a chance of, when I'm trying to put this piece on, breaking this off or bending it out of shape. Okay, I want to make sure now that I get this right. Now this piece here, it goes on here like this, and this piece here goes on with this round part, whatever that is, facing towards the right. So then that would mean that this could go like this. And okay, let's just turn this over and drop that part in there. That means we have to turn this one over, if I can. Okay, let me get something else here. Guess I could have cleaned that off, couldn't I? Just let me get my fingers in the road here for a minute. I just want to make sure I keep this at the right orientation. Otherwise, when we turn it right side up, it's going to be the wrong way around. Okay. Now, can we drop this in here? Maybe, can I just poke it? Maybe that wasn't a good idea. Okay, let's get some quick setting in there. And then we'll use the extra thin on the other part. Although maybe the extra thin would work in here too. Just let me recompose. I'll put the macro lens on. Get that out of there, like that. Oh, too close. I might glue it the wrong way on there. But I don't think so. Okay, I've changed my mind. I am going to use the quick setting on this one. Okay, it shouldn't take very much. For some reason I can't see it going on. It must be wicking into the crack. Okay. Now for the other piece, or for the other connection, okay, this has to go like this. And then we're going to pick it up. I wonder if I should be waiting a little bit, maybe to make sure the quick setting is all the way. And it's actually adhering mostly here on this part, and also on this part here. That's where it's. Oh, I just looked in the monitor. You can't even see it. Oh, that's terrible. Okay, what I was starting to say is the quick setting is gluing right there, and it's gluing right there. But okay, you know what? I think I'm in too close. That's the problem. I'm in too close. Okay, I'm gonna have to move back just a little bit. Well, this is what you might call embarrassing. I just realized that I was talking to myself for the last couple of minutes here while I was putting this on here because I forgot to push record. Anyway, I've turned it around so you can see I've got it mounted in place here. And I think it's going to be okay. I'm going to call her quits here this afternoon. It's 2:16 already, and yeah, I still got to do the final edit and so on. Thanks for watching, everybody, and all being well, we're going to see you tomorrow.